How's it going, New World? Sethphir here, and I am trying to break the meta. Yes, I thought a little bit about dungeon groups over the holidays, and I was thinking, well, we have a tank and a healer, but what if we just had a healer that tanked? And I know in this game we have some unique build variants and the ability to mess with a lot of base structures of MMOs. Like, you could have a bow and a shield at the same time if you wanted to, so I'm going to try to push that to the limit. I am on a mission and a personal endeavor to make tank healing work. So I want to tank the dungeon as a healer and have 4 DPS in my group and make it work, right? That's my mission here. So my thoughts were, I'm gonna put a taunt gem in my life staff. Yep, you heard that correctly. I'm gonna put a taunt gem in my life staff, and I started with a void gauntlet too, so this is sort of a work in progress, and I'll do another follow-up video on this and let you know like my full build, my full stats, my full details, and my full breakdown. But I just wanted to get this out here and get the ideas flowing and get some feedback from the community too. I want to know what you think or how you think this build could work, and I'm going to show you some clips of some of the dungeons I've done so far trying to make this work. I've only done a full run at the moment, but I'm going to do a bit more. But I was able to successfully tank the Garden of Genesis with all of the bosses, and even be quite useful in a lot of these encounters while keeping my entire group topped off and successfully like healed through the fight, right? So this is what I'm gonna kind of be looking at here, is how do I maintain aggro while healing? And I think the way it's probably gonna work from what I thought at least, is I saw that healing generates a lot of aggro. So I was like, oh, what if I put a carnelian on my life staff? Is that going to give me super aggro? And yes, it does. It looks like it really does. Sometimes it's hard for me to get a bit of aggro on a single person that's being focused, but in general, all the monsters will just gravitate towards me and start shooting me just because I'm healing with threat on, right? Especially when people get hurt a little bit, then everything definitely starts to come towards me and attack me. And I am able to keep up aggro on a single target, but I have to be like the first person to start hitting it. Like, if somebody else starts hitting it first, then it's a little hard for me to rip aggro off of that, and I'm not able to rely on any taunt particularly, although I may change that up in the future because I ran this run with the void gauntlet and it didn't seem that useful to me. Like, I wasn't able to pull it out and make use of its abilities at the moment. My original idea was to be like tanky with the melee and have that sort of fortify going with the scream, but then I didn't use the scream at first, and I'm trying to figure out where I'm going to go with that void gauntlet. But I'm quite confident that the life staff can tank, and I'll show you that with this boss here, because I am able to maintain aggro off of this boss, you know, even against fire mages or whatever that may be. As long as I start first, I can get aggro on this. And I think part of the aggro is coming from the damage that I'm dealing. His life staff does do decent damage, but the real chunk of the aggro is when healing happens, right? Like, when healing happens, that's when I'm going to generate a lot of threat value. And right here, when we go down in this phase, like, you can see I don't have a taunt or anything, but the monster is now focused on me. Like, once I've done enough damage and healing, then the monster seems to be permanently stuck on me. And this is interesting because I can tank it from ranged or melee, and with all the fortified bonuses from the life staff as well as just the healing coming in, I'm running this currently in heavy armor. I may switch to medium and try to see how it goes, but it's working, and it's blowing my mind because I'm like, wow, it's actually working. Like, I can be a tank and a healer, the two roles that I like to do, at the same time. And I thought this was really cool, just design choice from Amazon, like seeing all, like, you know, being able to mix any combination of these two weapons. And you could put a taunt gem in a life staff if you wanted to, and I like that. I like that I can experiment and try new things, and that's why I'm on a mission to break the meta right now, right? My ultimate goal is to get a tank that can heal the entire party so that I can have 4 DPS, and I think overall that will be a increase in the speed to the run. I just need to figure out what weapon to pair with that. So if you have any ideas on that down below, let me know. And I need to probably figure out a few other things because I lack a taunt, which is probably going to be a problem. But for as far as everything else go, it's pretty solid. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to a couple of encounters here as we move up ahead. I'll do this boss, but I'll just go to every notable encounter within the instance, and then you can kind of see a little bit of a peek on like how we did and what was it working, right? Am I tanking this? And I think you rely on a little bit of the tankability from your actual team too. So spreading around that damage, which probably could be viewed as a bad thing, but maybe it's not so much, especially if you have like a couple of bruisers. I think, you know, maybe the ideal comp with this would be like 2 melee bruisers and medium armor doing a lot of damage, and then, you know, whatever range damage you want to bring to the dungeon, but I think that could be quite powerful for sure. So we'll go ahead and fast forward to the tree here, and we'll see how we handle that encounter. All right, here we are on the tree encounter, and this one was interesting because it's going to challenge me to tank multiple mobs at once, but the interesting part about it is I found when I put down my heals, like everything just kind of ran towards me at some point, and then just chased me around. So I thought that was quite nice, to be honest. But the complications when there's a lot of monsters hitting you and the struggles with the life staff is that I don't have grit, right? So I'm just getting pushed back constantly. So I found that a little troublesome. I would have to spam dodge to get out of that situation. But beyond that, it was still doing pretty good, and the ability to get aggro on monsters from range and force them to attack me without taunt or anything is actually really nice. So this could be sleeper like OP meta, but it's gonna take some gear work, right? Like I'm gonna need a very unique set of items as far as like healing and tanking at the same time goes, right? Because I need enough damage and enough healing to keep my team up, but I also need enough constitution and enough, you know, tankiness, I guess, in general, to not die immediately from the bosses. So it's going to be an interesting mix of everything, but I think it's going to be a fun endeavor to try and figure out, and we'll see if it's useful in the future towards like mutation dungeons. But for now, this is an interesting role, and I wonder if there's any other combinations out there that are very unorthodox, right? Like I'm looking for unorthodox combinations. So if you have any ideas on that, go ahead and comment below, because I've seen somebody do like a Dex sword shield archer build. It was actually doing pretty good damage. So I think there's a lot of fun things that you could do within New World. Pushing it to be viable, we'll see. But I think this is probably one of them. So we'll go ahead and fast forward to another boss. All right, here we are on the next sort of like mini boss, I guess, so to say. And just to share some other ideas about like tanking in general, I know that tanking while blocking is a thing, but it feels like New World and wants you to like tank while having fortify instead of blocking, or also in combination with dodging for some abilities. Like you take things like the spear, for example, have like a really strong fortify on the perforate perk, and they want you to dodge a lot. So I think spear tanking could also be a viable thing. And I think that people are a little, you know, afraid to step outside of the norm for a lot of these builds. I think it's a good thing to go ahead and like experiment and try and see what you can fix and make work within this game, because I think there's a couple of really, really powerful builds that just don't see the light of day because everybody's just like, oh, I'm a tank, I must have a sword shield, you know, I'm a healer, I must do this or something. So it'd be interesting to see some of these combinations. But quick disclaimer though, like before everybody goes out and start, you know, tanking their dungeons like, oh, I'm a healer tank, we don't know if this is going to work yet, right? Just because one group was able to pull it off doesn't mean it's always going to work, and you definitely need some good gear, because I invested a little bit of money to get some gear working towards this, and I don't have everything perfect, but I have enough of pieces, right? Like I have enough pieces to make it decently good, and so this is going to be like something just to keep in mind. Grain of salt on this build, right? Like don't go immediately start being like, oh, Sethphir said I can tank the dungeons with a heal. Like give it a second, right? Like give it a second, guys. So now we'll go into this next boss, and we'll see like this garden. This guy is probably one of the harder bosses, this alluvium guy. He definitely can be difficult. My group is gonna go for the all-in strategy. We'll see if it works here. But from my experience, this guy seems to maintain aggro very quickly. Like, he has his little bit of a damage combo. You can dodge his last hit, which is not too hard to deal with. And then other than that, he just kind of like, you know, attacks random people. But as you can see, he's definitely going for me. Like, I'm able to bring him back and everything. Like, he's running towards me. He's following me. He has aggro on me. I'm effectively tanking this boss right now. Which is interesting because everybody in my group is just doing damage. The one part where I would lack is like doing stamina damage. So for here, maybe I just pull out the Void Gauntlet or something, because like I don't think the Life Staff does any stamina damage. So going all in with a group like this is probably the way to go. But we're able to burn this guy quite quickly, and I think I'm able to keep my party very, very healthy during the meantime as well. So I'm interested to keep working on this build. I'm gonna keep trying out certain things. Like, I want to move in more damage. I want to get in a little bit, maybe even crit chance. I'm not sure, but I think just the amount of healing and like fortification that I can provide seems to be pretty good. I'm curious how medium armor would work as opposed to light armor or heavy armor, because the difference in tankiness isn't entirely too much. The only difference would be I would be doing a little bit more healing and damage, which may even be a better thing for me. It does get a bit dicey here, I will say, but we're able to do it. I don't know why these monsters didn't disappear, but for some reason they were still alive after we killed the boss. I don't know. Sometimes they disappear instantly, sometimes they take a moment, but we were able to successfully clear this boss. So I'll go ahead and fast forward to the next section. All right, here we are in the next section, and we wanted to do a bit of a limit test, so we went ahead and just pulled everything in this room, like everything, the boss, the archers, the zombie guys, everything. And so we wanted to see if this would actually work, right? Like, can we survive? Can we live? And it was definitely dicey. I would say with these little zombies constantly hitting me, it was quite annoying, to be honest. But I think we're able to pull through here. It's just very, very difficult, right? A little challenging to get through a lot of this damage here. And as you can see, we get pretty low quite often. So it definitely was a bit of a nuisance to deal with a lot of these archers. And it could probably be done better, but then again, this is pulling everything right, like on top, like the whole room. So either way, this is probably going to be a little dicey, no matter what you do. Even if you had like a sword shield tank, pulling it around the corner probably would have been better in hindsight. But you know, it is what it is. We just wanted to kind of like, all right, YOLO it, just pull the whole room and see what happens. Like, can we recover? Can we survive? Like, is this okay? And it turns out, yes, it was okay. So that's good to know, at least. So we'll go ahead and skip forward to the final boss here, and you can see how we handled that. We did have a couple people that were like first time in the dungeon. We were running through, so I think they died. But it wasn't my fault, I promise. It wasn't because they didn't get healed. It was just they died to the white mechanic. So we'll go ahead and fast forward to that and check that one out. Alright, here we are on the final boss of the Garden of Genesis dungeon, and I thought this one was going to be quite hard just due to the ability for the boss to continually hit in melee, but it seemed like I was able to absorb a lot of punishment or a lot of hits from this boss, so it wasn't too shabby. Don't mind my ranger in the back, he didn't know what the puddle mechanic was, so we were trying to fix him up on that. So as you can see, the boss has that standard combo. The one thing I did notice was I was getting hit by that scream in melee range. When I was a tank, like with a sword shield, that would not hurt me, right? Like, it wouldn't deal damage to me, it would do something else. So I think it's because of the melee hitbox. Like, when you're pushing up on them with the melee attack, you avoid that scream. But with the life staff, I'm not able to like get that close, so it seemed like that scream was hitting me. So I was like, wait, why is this scream hitting me? So I was trying to figure it out, but I learned that, okay, maybe I just need to dodge, you know, when that scream happens. So I figured that out for the later part of the fight. But as you can see, it's a little dicey here, a little difficult. The boss does have effective aggro on me though. I just need to like go up and get in range, but it does seem to stick on me when I need it to, right? Like, so if I'm not in melee range, though, the boss will start meleeing other people, and that's the one part that's a little weird. So as we go through, I'm going to start to get better here at life staff tanking. I kind of understand, okay, I need to be in range, but then I need to dodge the scream or whatever that may be, and it seems to be a little bit better. Like, I just tank these hits to the face, I guess. Maybe not the best way to do that. I don't know. I'll try to figure out. Maybe I can dodge once or twice in between there and probably play this a bit better mechanically. I just got to figure out like how it's gonna work for me. But the other thing I did notice was I got targeted by the ranged mechanic, like the puddle ranged mechanic. So I think the game still thinks I'm a healer, right? Even though I'm tanking, technically. Technically, we say technically. And it's definitely a little bit dicey on this part. I almost died here because I saw that there was 2 puddles on the side. And oh lord, that was just definitely a little bit of a nightmare. But we're going to go ahead and power through it. And it looks like we're getting through to the final phase with the 2 ads. We did lose a teammate or 2 along the way. But, you know, sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes you just have to go through. And that's why I say take it with a grain of salt. It's a little bit of a meme build because in a perfect world, I could probably be doing this a lot better if I was a sword shield tank, obviously. But for the time being, with the initial test phase of this, I think this could get better. And I think if done well, this could be something that would be very viable. And not to mention viable, but maybe even optimal for speedruns. If you can have both your healer and tank in one role, and then 4 DPS dealers dealing max damage, then that makes your life much, much easier, right? Like you can definitely get through on that. So we're gonna enter the final phases here of the boss as the wife is littling down. So we're just gonna keep going through, and as you can see, I still have the aggro on the boss. The base mechanics are the same. She has that 1-2-3 combo or a 1-2 combo with the overhead slam. And I think overall I could figure this out. I'm interested to see how this would do in Lazarus Instrumentality. I'm very confident I could keep aggro on Chartis, but I feel like Scylla may give me a bit of a problem, especially when she starts getting those empowered stacks. But I'll go ahead and run that one next and, you know, make my group suffer through it. And we'll even bring in whoever's willing to, you know, get memed on in the dungeon, and we'll see if we can complete that dungeon. Scylla's definitely going to be the hardest part about tanking that area, so we'll have to see how that goes. But I got some tricks up my sleeve. I might try the medium armor and a couple other like different avenues that we can kind of go through here. But this is a successful full clear of the Garden of Genesis dungeon with a healer tank. It took us like I don't know, 30 minutes or something. But we had some newer players in, so that's not too bad. In terms of speed running it, we could definitely do a lot faster. Just need a little bit more optimal gear. As you can see, I'm just running some like luck stuff and things like that, but I could definitely like be optimized for tanking. So we'll go ahead and give that a try in the future. But thanks for watching, everyone, and listening to my rant on breaking the meta. You know, I'm just trying some different ideas to see if I can make something else work. And I wanted to give you like a first look at what I'm trying to do and accomplish here, and just give you like a chance to give me some feedback while I try to make this build work. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. We have a subscribe, like, and bell button down below. Make sure to check those out, as well as a join button if you wish to become a member today. And we also have a Discord and a Twitter down in the links below if you want to follow on social media and keep in contact with me. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next video.